She once looked me straight in the eye and said, "Girls' nights are more important than marriage. A marriage certificate doesn't mean anything." That was the moment something inside me went quiet. That evening, I began to pack. Slowly, silently, deliberately. When she returned the next morning, the only thing she found was a note resting inside an empty drawer. I can still hear her laughter echoing when she first said those words. The light from her wine glass shimmered crimson across the kitchen counter like spilled blood. She didn't even glance my way. She didn't have to. That was her message. It was never about the words, but about the distance behind them. That night, I made my decision to disappear. For years, I had been the man who stayed through her tempers, her ambitions, and the subtle cruelties she disguised as humor. I used to believe marriage was about patience, endurance, fixing what's broken. But some storms don't pass. They only reveal who's willing to drown you. We weren't always this way, or maybe I was simply too blinded by love to see the cracks. I used to wake early to make her coffee. She'd steal my shirts and grin as if the world was ours. She once looked at me like I was her anchor. Perhaps I was, until she found a new tide to drift toward. It began with little things. Late dinners with the girls, a movie night, a few drinks, small lies dressed as routine. I never confronted her. I just watched the space between us grow wider. When her phone started living face down on the table, I knew the truth. Those weren't just girls' nights anymore. The night I finally understood, there were no messages, no calls, just silence. She came home wrapped in perfume that wasn't hers, laughter still clinging to her skin like someone else's fingerprints. I asked, "Had a good night?" She smiled absently and muttered, "You wouldn't understand." She was right. I didn't then, but I would soon. Revenge doesn't come in fury. It arrives with calm precision. While she slept, I quietly copied her passwords, followed her digital footprints, tracked her hidden transactions. Hotel bookings, dinner receipts, Uber rides to places I was never invited. And one name, repeated over and over again. Zara, her best friend. Her alibi. It wasn't just betrayal. It was teamwork. I didn't yell. I didn't break. I planned. For 2 months, I constructed my exit. Every account, document, and asset moved, rewritten, or withdrawn. She never noticed. Why would she? I was the dependable husband, the harmless one, the fool she assumed would never strike back. While she partied with her friends, I was quietly draining our savings. While she texted, "Be home late," I was signing a lease under my name. A small apartment across town, furnished and waiting. While she lied, I smiled. I learned the art of silence from her. The night before I vanished, she stumbled in at 2 a.m., makeup smudged, hair tangled, keys slipping through her fingers. She looked like a stranger trying to remember where she lived. She didn't see the packed suitcase hidden behind the curtain, nor the letter I'd already written. When she finally drifted into sleep, I stood in the doorway looking at the face of the woman I once thought I'd grow old with. There was no anger left, just clarity. Love doesn't explode. It fades, like a candle's flame shrinking to nothing. By morning, I made coffee one last time. Black for me. 2 sugars for her. She didn't wake up to drink it. By noon, the house was spotless, my belongings gone, drawers empty. Only one note remained, folded neatly inside the drawer where she kept her jewelry and secrets. It read, "By the time you find this, I'll already be gone. Maybe your friends can help pay the bills now." I didn't expect her to call, but by evening my phone buzzed endlessly. First came the anger, "How could you?" Then confusion, "Where did you go?" Then the pleading, "Please, let's talk." I never replied. I wanted her to feel the same hollow silence she'd once given me that morning. I'd sent her friends screenshots, her messages to me, her gossip about them, every poisonous word she'd spoken behind their backs. By the time she reached out to them, they'd already turned away. Days passed. The calls stopped, and I began to breathe again. There's peace in watching the bridge burn when you realize it only ever led to pain. I didn't destroy her. I just made her see. I wanted her to understand what it's like to live inside the emptiness she created. I didn't take everything, just enough to remind her of what she'd lost. What I reclaimed was mine, self-respect. Weeks later, one last message came through. Was any of it real? I replied, maybe, until it wasn't. Then I blocked her. Now some nights I sit on my balcony with a cup of coffee, watching the city lights flicker like dying stars. Freedom doesn't always scream. It sometimes whispers, "You did the right thing." I still remember that night. Her laughter, her glass of red, her words cutting through the air like glass shards. Girls' nights matter more than marriage. Paper means nothing, and maybe she was right because that paper no longer binds me.